Hi, I'm Loren Lockman. I'm the director of the Tanglewood Wellness Center. And here at Tanglewood, over the last 14 years, we've taken more than 2,000 people through a water-only fast, a supervised water fast. Now, if you've stumbled across this video, you might be thinking, fasting, well, that sounds radical. And you know, it sounds radical to most people when they hear this for the first time. It certainly sounded radical to me too. What happened for me was that having just gotten out of college, I had gotten very sick within 6 months, and worse with 3 years of medical care. I didn't know what to do, but I realized after 3 years that if I was going to get well, it was going to be for whatever I did on my own, because I wasn't getting any help from the medical system. I finally realized that if I made radical changes to my diet, and changes that don't seem so radical now, but back then did, and that, by the way, consisted of eliminating all processed food from my diet and all animal products from my diet, and then getting my body as clean and efficient as possible via water fasting. What happened for me was I began to experience an incredible level of health and vitality, mental clarity, and these were all things that had been severely lacking for about 3 years. Now today, many years later, I can tell you why that's the case, because it's now been more than 24 years since I've been sick a single day. And I've worked with more than 4,000 people from 32 countries to help them achieve amazing levels of health and vitality. What each of us has in common is that our systems become burdened with toxins from all different sources, from air pollution and water pollution and poor food choices, and from the body's own cellular waste products. And when the body becomes burdened with these toxins, we cease to function very well. This is all exacerbated by the fact that the average person is significantly, chronically dehydrated. And because water is the universal transport medium, when we're dehydrated, the body is unable to cleanse and heal itself as it used to be able to do when we were younger. And so, as I talk about in a video here on aging, as we get older, it's not the years, but the accumulation of toxins and chronic hydration that actually creates the problem. So fasting is so powerful simply because the body, like every other organism, is completely self-healing and self-cleansing. The key is to create the conditions that allow the body to cleanse and heal itself. And most of the time, those conditions are not present, because for the average person, we expend so much energy processing food every day. And this is regardless of what we eat. We're still expending up to about 50% of our energy every day processing food. This is because the body is already overwhelmed with toxins. This is because of everything else we're doing. There simply isn't much energy available to cleanse and heal on an ongoing basis. And so the average person becomes more and more toxic and more dehydrated over time. And the inevitable result of constantly suppressing symptoms, as we do every time we get sick, is we become even more toxic still. So what's available to us? You know, when I talk to people about creating this incredibly high level of health, most people say, well, I'm pretty healthy. And this is true almost regardless of what's going on for them. I remember a few years ago, actually now probably 10 or 12 years ago, I was dancing at a location outside of Washington, D.C. one Friday night, met a young woman I was dancing with, and she asked me what I did, and I told her, I said, I run a wellness center. And she said, you probably recommend a vegetarian diet, don't you? And I said, well, that's a good start. And she said, well, I'm not a vegetarian, and I'm perfectly healthy. I said, that's terrific. Well, the next time I spoke with her, maybe half an hour later, she informed me a little bit more that in addition to being perfectly healthy, she also had asthma and more than a dozen allergies. And somehow in her mind, those two things happily coexisted. Perfect health, asthma and allergies, all coexisting in the same body. I want you to understand that what perfect health means is that every aspect of your being functions at the highest level possible. And though most people would say this isn't possible, it's certainly possible theoretically. And I can tell you that even if we never achieve perfect health, we can achieve an amazingly high level of health if that's what we shoot for. So, nobody needs to suffer from asthma. Nobody needs to suffer from allergies. I once had almost 5 dozen allergies. When I became sick, I developed 57 allergies. I developed chronic fatigue syndrome, irritable bowel syndrome, chronic sinusitis, chronic candidiasis, and 57 allergies. And for several years, could barely function. And fortunately for me, this happened when I was in my 20s, in my early 20s, in fact, rather than when I was 45 or 50. You know, just a few minutes ago, I was having lunch with some friends here, and someone was saying, a gentleman who's in his mid-40s, you know, a lot of my friends, their bodies don't work so well anymore, but they figure, well, it's just what happens after 40. Your knees start to go, and maybe your back starts to go, and things just don't work the way they used to. But most people think that's just how it is, and they never realize that it could be different. Fortunately for me, all this happened to me when I was 23 years old. And 6 months or a year earlier, my body still seemed to function pretty well. So I knew it didn't have to be this way. I knew this wasn't aging. This was something unusual, extraordinary going on. And I wasn't willing to live the rest of my life that way. And so I was willing to do whatever I needed to do. Now the truth is, it's not hard to regain your health if you're committed to feeling and functioning as well as possible. A lot of people aren't. And that's okay. There's no right or wrong about this. But what I realized a long time ago, again, because it happened to me so young, I went from being fully functioning to not being able to do very much at all. I realized that for me, perfect health was really equivalent to perfect freedom. Today, I'll be 50 in a couple months, and today, my body functions much better than it did 30 years ago. And so not only do we not have to age, not only do we not have to accept any limitations, but we can completely take our health and level of functioning and mental clarity and vitality to an amazingly high level, perhaps one that we've never experienced before. It's not difficult to do. Here are the steps. The first step, get your body as clean as possible. And water fasting is by far the most effective, most efficient, and most powerful thing you can do. Now it's important to understand this is not something you can do on your own at home. It's not safe, it's not advisable, and it's usually not very effective because people simply don't know what is and is not okay. But if you care about your health and your vitality and your mental clarity and your overall quality of life, I would say it's probably a good investment to find a place that you resonate with, that you feel comfortable in, and that you agree with the philosophies of, and get yourself there. Make that investment in yourself. Take a month of your life, maybe more, invest the money you need to, and what you'll find on the other side, if you're willing to make the best choices, is an amazing level of health and vitality. So that's the first step, is get your body clean. The second step, I just mentioned, is learn how to make the best choices possible. You know, you can eat anything you choose to. But if what you want is the highest level of health and functioning, well, the only way you're going to get there is if you're eating the very best possible diet for your body. Now, how do you know what that is? Well, it's helpful to start by studying or finding a good teacher or coach or mentor on this. Ultimately, what we want to do, though, is not listen to any authority. No expert. Don't listen to me. Don't do what I say because I say it. Don't do what anybody else says. Don't do something because you read it in a book. Don't do something because somebody else that you know does it and got results from it, because everything's relative. Ultimately, what you want to do is get your body clean, because you already have an authority, and that authority is your body. The very best we can do is learn to get out of the way, learn to get out of our heads, which is where most people that I've ever met seem to spend most of their time, right in this little space, and get back into their bodies. The body has always known when to go to sleep and when to wake up, when to eat and when to stop eating, what to eat, when to exercise, when to rest, when to get out of the sun, although sometimes we don't listen. What we want to do is learn to get back into our bodies, listen to those messages that our bodies are giving us, and listen to them all the time. Once your body's clean, you can rely on those messages. Now, needless to say, if you're sitting here today and you have any addictions whatsoever, if they're cocaine, they're alcohol, they're nicotine, they're heroin, or they're simply bread, your body is going to tell you to go consume that substance when it's in the process of cleansing itself. So you can't necessarily rely on the messages you get from your body until your body's clean. This is why it helps to have a strong philosophical place, a strong understanding of what does belong and why, And then once you understand that and you get your system clean, then you can make your choices on an ongoing basis by listening to your body. Now once you've got your body clean, once you're following an optimal diet, you'll have done the most important things you can do, because you'll have gotten your system detoxified. And by the way, you may want to plan on fasting more than once, but one fast of 21 days or more is incredibly powerful. You may want to do more. Once you've done that, the ability to get hydrated is finally available to you, because most people do not get hydrated until they get their bodies clean. So by detoxifying the body, by rehydrating the body, what you find is that everything works just the way it did when you were a child. The biggest difference between children and adults is, besides the cynicism and so forth, the biggest difference is that the child's body is likely to be much more vibrant, much higher level of vitality, much higher level of hydration, and much lower level of toxicity. We can do exactly the same thing if we're willing to do what we need to do. So if we can help you here at the Tanglewood Wellness Center, we're happy to. If you go to our URL, join our subscriber list. We'll be sending you lots of great free information, and we will do anything we can to help you, because if you're committed to your health, my staff and I are completely committed to helping you.